All right, everyone, we are back here today. It is Wednesday, May 20th, and we're going to run through a few things today, and we're going to talk about Christopher Columbus again and kind of that process of coming to America. You guys really did some great things 2 weeks ago when you wrote your papers for Mr. Ruth and Mrs. Head. And we're kind of going to expand on that idea, and we're going to talk about some of the other things that were around, and I'm kind of going to give you guys some information. So today we're going to be doing this Edpuzzle. You're just going to work through, answer some questions for me, and I'm going to talk about some things throughout this slideshow here. Once that's done, you're also going to have a Flipgrid assignment, which we're kind of going to do a twist to. We're not going to talk as much about Christopher Columbus and coming to America. We're going to talk about our virtual learning and some of the things that have been going on. So here we go. Some of you may know, others may not, but Columbus Day is in October every year. We'll look at it. It's usually on a Monday. So let's see if I can make this full screen. We can click through. So who is Christopher Columbus? Christopher Columbus was from Italy. He was famous for his voyage from Europe to the New World. So they started in Europe and they sailed over. And we'll talk about what the attempt was for. What was he looking for? So what did he believe? At this time, everyone thought that the world was flat. So they all used to think that it was flat and you could fall off the end of the world, like you see in the picture on the left. So if you went too far, you'd run out of room and you were gone. And what we found out was that the world was actually round. And this was in roughly the year 1460, 1470, in that area. Christopher Columbus knew it was round. And in the end, the Catholic king, Isabella, and Ferdinand gave him permission to go explore and find some of those things. So his reason for sailing wasn't just to see if the world was round. It was also to find some different things. So what did he do? When did he do it? Columbus needed money for his voyage. He didn't have any money, but no one believed him. Everybody thought that the world was flat, so they thought it wasn't possible what he was trying to do. Finally, the kings of Spain gave him the money in 1492, and he left to discover the New World. So they said, okay, we trust you. We think you're kind of right. So we're going to go through some things. We're going to talk about it, and we'll see what happens. So the voyage. On August 3rd, 1492, Columbus began his voyage with 3 ships. What were these 3 ships? They were the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. There were 90 men on the ships, so he took some people with him. Here's kind of a map that shows you what things were looking like. They were going from the east, and they were sailing west across the ocean. You can kind of follow my cursor here. They came from here, they came across, they got to here, they ended up where they went. Food. So Columbus had food such as cheese, fish, chicken, pigs, wine, bread, and water on the voyage. So you got to think, it's going to take them quite a few days to travel all the way across the ocean and get to Americas. So when they did that, they had to pack all their food on there. People were eating the same thing day in and day out. It's also 1492, so you got to think about refrigeration, keeping things fresh, making sure that people weren't getting sick because of what they were eating. There was a lot of stuff that they had to think about for this voyage and the trip. The voyage lasted 36 days. On October 12th, they found an island. It was an island in the Bahamas. He said these islands were now part of Spain. So when he came in, they left from right here. They came down a little bit. They didn't go in a directly straight line. A lot of that probably has to do with the fact that they didn't have GPS. They didn't have maps. They had maps, but they weren't right. They didn't know that you could actually do all of this. So they were exploring. They were going on their own way. The fact that this is the line that they traveled, which may not be exactly correct, but that's what people believe, it was pretty close. They did a really good job. So he came all the way in, and then they landed right down in here. So the voyage lasted 36 days. They came into the Bahamas. What did he find? There were Native Americans on the islands when Columbus arrived. At first, they were very happy. And they were like, oh, they were excited to see new people. They were trying to figure out what was going on, who these people were. And then Columbus stole their islands. So you can imagine they probably weren't that happy at that point. The New World. Columbus didn't find India, which was the goal. The goal was to sail west until they found a quicker route to China and to India so they could trade. But they didn't find India. But what he did find was a land that no one knew about. He made 4 voyages and discovered new places. So this wasn't a one-time thing. They didn't take one trip. There were multiple voyages. It ended up being 4 trips that Columbus took to the Americas. The day of race. Columbus Day is also called El Dia de la Raza. Why do you think it's called that? Native Americans were friends at first, but later Europeans killed many of them in wars and disease that they brought from Europe. Native Americans were treated badly, and we need to recognize this also. So I think this PowerPoint was a good choice because it gives you both sides of things. It doesn't show you that it was just he was a great person that came over. It talks about how there also was some negative. They did kill off some of the people by bringing disease. They introduced people to new things that they weren't accustomed to, and it hurt them. So they also took the land from the Native Americans, so we need to recognize that as well. What do you think the cartoon means that's shown right here? Obviously, it's in Spanish, so you don't really know. So what do you see in the picture? You see the ships. What are they doing? What's going on? What is your interpretation of what you see? You give me whatever answer. Just tell me what you think. Okay, so do you remember? Think back here. Where is Christopher Columbus from? When did he leave on his voyage? What year? How many ships did he have? What were their names? How many men went on the voyage? What islands did he discover first? What day did he arrive in the New World? So you guys can go through some of those, and I'll have some of these questions on Edpuzzle for you and see how you guys do. Thank you very much.